Republicans failed to turn up the 12 votes needed, as I understand it. All weekend we heard this phrase, we're making progress. Today, earlier, we were assured that House leaders had the votes to pass this humongous bailout bill, save the economy from a meltdown. We ought to know better after this much time. When the roll was called this afternoon, the necessary votes were missing. And Wall Street was like a yo-yo on a string, up, down, all over the lot. You can see on the screen there, it's closing just under 750 points to the downside. It all happened despite the best efforts of John McCain to anoint himself the savior of the bailout package. Remember? Turns out members of McCain's own party balked at voting for the bailout in the House of Representatives. He couldn't even deliver his own party's votes. At the end of the day, President Bush couldn't get it done. House Speaker Pelosi couldn't get it done. John Boehner couldn't get it done. And McCain is left with egg all over his face after calling for the cancellation of last Friday's debate and announcing he was suspending his campaign. Remember last Wednesday? Once again, our government has failed us. The future of the bailout, very much an open question now. And with just 5 weeks before the election, look for everybody in Washington to bend over backwards explaining why this isn't their fault. The question is this: is the failure of the bailout reason enough to vote all the incumbents out of office in 5 weeks? Mark writes, I'm beyond words to describe my disappointment and anger in our politicians. I sat and watched in disbelief as the vote came through this afternoon. What are we, invisible? Just watch come the first Tuesday in November. With more of us out of work, more bank failures, and a total collapse of our economic system, watch the incumbents fall harder than today's stock market. Jim in Iowa, with there being no guarantees the bailout would work, what if it didn't? The stock market would tumble, banks would fail, and the taxpayers would be out the $700 billion. The bailout was a bad idea, foisted on us by a president who's cried wolf more than once too often, a president interested only in the super rich. J.C. writes, the Republicans can kiss the election goodbye. They've done more for the Democrats than the Democrats have. Unfortunately, it is bad for all of us normal Americans. Jan in California, something's got to happen, Jack. McCain played politics with this, and now it's us who are going to be suffering as the economy goes in the tank. They didn't sell this bill correctly. When Goodyear can't pay people, it's us who will suffer. Bob writes, the hubris of our elected officials that are supposed to be looking out for us is finally biting them on the can. Good. This bailout was a giant leap toward national socialism. I'd rather live in a cardboard box than give up my rights. It's going to hurt everybody in the short term, but artificially propping up these markets would kill the ideas this country was founded on in both the short and long term. And Dave in Arizona writes this, I now know why revolutions happen. Our revolution must happen in November at the voting booth. Get these self-serving, incompetent, plain old dumb clowns out of office.